75-year-old man died quietly in his sleep. Not from a heart attack, not from cancer, but from something far more silent. He had completely lost his will to live as a man. His strength, his size, his confidence had slowly disappeared. This may sound extreme, but it's a reality more common than you think. I'm Dr. James R. Porter, a men's health expert with over 30 years of experience working with older men across America, veterans, retirees, fathers, grandfathers, and the truth? Most of them came to me too late. You may be eating right, staying active, and taking your vitamins. But what if the way you're masturbating is quietly sending a signal to your body to shut down your manhood? In this video, I'll expose 5 dangerous mistakes men over 60 are making when they masturbate. Mistakes that shrink blood flow, damage tissue, and reduce size over time. But I'll also show you how to reverse it. No shame, no pills, just real practical solutions. And stick with me, because one of these habits could be wrecking your hormones and drive without you knowing it. Let's begin. Before we dive into these crucial truths, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the bell, so you never miss another life-changing health tip made for men like you. And if this topic hits home, type 1 in the comments to let me know you're with me. If not, type 0. I want to keep improving and serving you better. So let's get to the heart of it. The 5 masturbation mistakes that silently shrink your penis after 60. These aren't myths. They're real, common, and backed by both science and my years of clinical experience. And the first one, it's the most widespread of all. And it starts with what you watch. Mistake 1. Using porn as the main source of arousal. This is where most older men go wrong, and I say this with deep concern because I've watched too many of my patients fall into this exact trap without even realizing it. They turn to porn not out of addiction, but out of habit, out of boredom, or sometimes just loneliness. It becomes a convenient escape, something they've done for years, something that feels familiar. But here's the truth. After 60, your body processes arousal differently, and the way porn hijacks your brain becomes more dangerous than ever. When you rely on porn as your primary source of stimulation, your brain stops responding to real-world intimacy. It chases novelty. The next image, the next clip, the next extreme, until normal touch and connection feel dull in comparison. Over time, this artificial stimulation rewires your arousal pathways, and your body, in response, thinks, I no longer need to keep this tissue alive. Blood flow decreases, sensitivity fades, the erectile tissue begins to weaken and wither from lack of oxygen and use, and that's when the shrinking begins. This isn't theory. I've seen it happen. I've had 68-year-old men come into my office whispering, Doc, it looks smaller. Am I imagining this? No, they're not. The repeated use of porn-centered masturbation teaches your body to disconnect pleasure from physical presence. It turns your penis into a passive spectator rather than an active participant. And the cost is brutal, not just in size, but in confidence, in desire, and in emotional vitality. Some men develop performance anxiety. Others lose interest in sex altogether. A few fall into quiet depression, haunted by the feeling that they've lost something essential. The most heartbreaking part? Most of them had no idea porn was the cause. They thought they were just getting older. They never imagined that what they were watching on their screens could be damaging what made them feel like men. If this sounds familiar, don't panic, but do take action. Start by stepping back from digital stimulation. Let your mind, your body, and your nervous system reset. You might notice a temporary dip in arousal at first, but stick with it. That's your body relearning how to feel again. And here's the scary part. This first mistake might be the most common, but the next one, it doesn't just shrink your penis, it puts your heart and brain at risk too. Keep watching. Mistake 2. Ignoring blood flow health. I've sat across from men who were once athletes, soldiers, hardworking family men who took pride in their strength and independence. But at some point after 60, they started noticing changes they couldn't explain. Erections that weren't as firm, shrinking when flaccid, a subtle loss of feeling, and most of them shrugged it off as just age. But in many cases, it wasn't age, it was circulation, or more specifically, a dangerous neglect of blood flow. You see, your penis is a vascular organ, not a muscle. It doesn't just work because it always has, it functions because blood flows to it, freely, fully, and consistently. But as we age, our vessels naturally stiffen, our activity levels decline, and many men unknowingly contribute to the problem by living more passively, sitting too long, avoiding stretching, skipping exercise, and yes, even masturbating in ways that restrict movement and flow. The truth is brutal. Without proper blood flow, the penile tissue begins to starve. Cells break down, oxygen delivery weakens, and the tissue starts to atrophy, shrink literally, not metaphorically. I've had men who never smoked, never had diabetes, come in and ask why their erections feel smaller, why their penis looks shorter in the mirror. It's not always hormones. Sometimes it's poor circulation that's silently sabotaging their manhood. And here's the real danger. The price goes far beyond the bedroom. When blood doesn't flow well to your groin, it's not flowing well to your heart, your brain, or your legs either. Poor circulation increases your risk of erectile dysfunction, yes, but also stroke, dementia, and sudden cardiac events. That's the part many don't realize. The penis isn't just a performance organ, it's a warning light. When things go wrong there, it's often the first sign your whole vascular system is under stress. And yet so many men continue living with tight hips, closed arteries, and poor habits, thinking it's all just part of getting old. It doesn't have to be. Start walking daily, stretch, breathe deeply, eat foods that improve nitric oxide production like beets, leafy greens, and watermelon, and be mindful during self-pleasure. Don't slump, don't rush, and never treat your body like a machine. You can restore blood flow. You can reverse the damage, but only if you stop ignoring the signals. Now, if that sounds serious, it is. But the third mistake, that one cuts even deeper because it affects not just your body, but the way your brain experiences pleasure itself. Stay with me, you need to hear this. Mistake 3, rushing the process. I've had men sit across from me with their eyes down, almost ashamed, not because of what they do, but how they do it. They say things like, "I don't take my time anymore, doc, I just get it over with." And I understand. Life after 60 changes. You may not have the same energy, the same privacy, or the same drive you once did, so you rush. It becomes a habit. A few minutes of relief, then back to whatever else needs your attention. But here's what no one ever tells you. Rushing masturbation is not harmless. It's actually one of the most damaging things you can do to your sexual health at this stage of life. When you rush, you engage the sympathetic nervous system, the stress response. You tense your pelvic floor, breathe shallowly, and move quickly, often with too much pressure and too little presence. That repeated tension sends a signal to the body. This act is purely mechanical. There's no pleasure, no connection, no time to relax, and when that becomes the norm, your body starts to adapt. Sensitivity fades. Erections become less full. The penis shortens in response to constant contraction and reduced oxygenation. Over time, this can even lead to something called reflexive ejaculation, where you climax quickly, often without much feeling at all. It's heartbreaking to watch. I've seen men in their 60s and 70s become strangers to their own bodies, not because of age, but because of habit. They forget how to feel. They stop breathing deeply. They no longer associate self-pleasure with self-care, and their body begins to shut down in return. And the price for rushing isn't just physical, it's emotional. You begin to lose confidence, not just in the bedroom, but in your identity. You feel disconnected, unmotivated, uncertain. I've seen it affect marriages, self-esteem, even the way men carry themselves in public. It chips away at you quietly until one day you wonder when you stopped feeling like a man. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You can retrain your body, you can slow down, breathe deeply, explore sensation, turn self-pleasure into a ritual of healing, not just a habit of escape. It's not about doing more, it's about doing it differently. And if this mistake feels personal, the next one may surprise you even more because it's not about what you do with your hands, but what you ignore with the rest of your body. Let's go deeper. Mistake 4. Masturbating without touching the rest of your body. This one might surprise you. It's not something most men think about, especially not after 60. We're taught early in life that sexual pleasure is all about one part of the body, and over time that belief becomes a habit, fast, focused, and entirely disconnected from everything else we feel. But as we age, that narrow approach becomes a trap, and for many men it's the very thing that causes their manhood to wither, not because of what they're doing, but because of what they're not doing. When you isolate pleasure to just the genitals, you starve the rest of your nervous system. You forget that arousal is meant to be a full-body experience, not just mechanical friction. Your thighs, your stomach, your chest, your breath, these are all part of the equation. But when they're ignored, your body stops showing up fully. It stops releasing the same hormones, stops producing the same blood flow, and eventually stops responding with the same vitality. The result? Numbness, weakness, shrinkage. I've had patients tell me it just doesn't feel like it used to, and I know exactly why. Over years of isolated stimulation, their body forgot how to feel. The tissue became less responsive, the nerves dulled, erections became softer, and the penis itself began to shorten, not overnight, but slowly, silently, and for many, permanently. And it's not just physical. The emotional toll of that kind of disconnection is enormous. It eats away at your sense of masculinity. You start to avoid intimacy. You stop looking in the mirror. You pull back from your partner, from yourself, from life. That's the price. Not just losing inches, but losing your connection to pleasure, to purpose, and to the man you once were. But there's still time to change that. The fix is simple, even if it takes practice. Start exploring again. Your belly, your thighs, your back, your breath. Let your hands wander. Let your awareness expand. Reclaim the rest of your body as part of your sexual experience, because you're not just a part, you're a whole man, and that whole man deserves to feel everything. Now, if this mistake left you thinking, I've been doing it all wrong for years, brace yourself, because the final mistake, it's the one almost no one talks about. And it can cause lasting damage even after the pleasure is over. Let me show you. Mistake 5. Skipping recovery and aftercare. This is the one almost no man thinks about, but it's often the one doing the most silent damage. I've seen it over and over in my practice. A man finishes masturbating, zips up, stands up, and walks away as if nothing just happened. No cool down, no breath, no reflection. Just back to the routine. And yet what he doesn't realize is that this moment, right after climax, is one of the most vulnerable, powerful, and important times for his body. After ejaculation, your nervous system shifts dramatically. Blood pressure drops. Hormone levels fluctuate. The tissues in your penis are temporarily inflamed and depleted. And if you jump up, put on your pants, and go straight into daily stress, you rob your body of what it needs most: recovery, healing, restoration. I once had a patient, 72, who told me his erections had become weak, unpredictable, and barely satisfying. He'd tried supplements, tried gadgets, even tried injections. Nothing worked. But when I asked him about his aftercare habits, he looked at me blankly. He never even considered that what he did after climax could affect the strength of his next one. But it absolutely does. Skipping recovery leads to poor circulation, chronic inflammation, and something we call genital fatigue, a condition where the penis begins to lose tone, size, and sensitivity over time. The tissue becomes less resilient, erections become shorter and less reliable, and worst of all, many men blame themselves or assume it's irreversible aging. It's not, it's neglect. A simple lack of awareness and care. And the emotional price is steep. Men begin to feel embarrassed, disconnected. Some avoid intimacy altogether, convinced they're broken. But I've seen what happens when that mindset shifts, when men take just 5 minutes to lie down after, breathe, hydrate, and gently care for their lower abdomen or groin. The change isn't just physical, it's psychological, it's spiritual. It's the difference between a man who walks away feeling drained and one who walks away feeling whole. So if you've been skipping aftercare, let this be your wake-up call. Don't rush away from your own body. Stay, breathe, let it settle. That one choice may be the key to restoring what you thought was lost. And if that's the final mistake, what comes next could change everything. Because now I want to show you exactly how to rebuild your strength, restore your confidence, and reclaim your manhood with a daily plan built for men over 60. Let's begin. Conclusion: your manhood isn't gone, it's waiting to be reclaimed. If you've come this far, you already know this wasn't just another video about aging. This was a wake-up call. Because the truth is, what's been happening to your body isn't some irreversible punishment of time. It's not something you have to accept quietly or carry in shame. Most of what's been taken from you, your size, your strength, your confidence, has been the result of 5 simple, avoidable mistakes. And now you know what they are. Maybe you saw yourself in one of them. Maybe you saw yourself in all of them. You're not alone. I've sat with hundreds of men who carried the same questions, the same regrets, and the same quiet fear. Is this it? Is this who I've become? My answer has always been the same. It's only over when you stop fighting, when you stop learning, when you stop believing that change is possible. Because change is possible. I've seen it. I've watched men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s restore sensitivity, rebuild blood flow, and regain that unmistakable spark in their eyes, all without surgery, without pills, and without shame. But it begins with awareness, and now you have that. What happens next is entirely up to you. You can keep living the way you've been living, rushing through pleasure, ignoring your circulation, relying on screens instead of sensation, cutting off the rest of your body, and walking away without giving yourself a moment to heal. Or you can choose to do it differently, to honor your body instead of punishing it, to slow down, to feel more, to give your manhood the care, the presence, and the respect it deserves. Because you're not just a man who masturbates, you're a man who's lived through wars, raised families, built legacies, and overcome storms most people can't even imagine. You've earned the right to feel good, to feel whole, to feel powerful, not just in your mind, but in your body. And the best part? You don't have to figure it out alone. In the next video, I'll walk you through a simple, proven, 3-step daily plan designed specifically for men over 60 to restore blood flow, reawaken sensitivity, and rebuild confidence from the inside out. It includes one food science says can dramatically reverse penile shrinkage in just 30 days. It's practical, it's natural, and it's built for real men just like you. So don't walk away from this moment and go back to old habits. You've already done the hardest part. You've faced the truth. Now it's time to act on it. Start by slowing down. Turn off the screen. Touch your body like it matters, because it does. Breathe deeper. Sit longer. Pay attention to how you feel, not just what you do. Treat your recovery like it's part of the process, not a luxury. And above all, never forget that your manhood is not defined by size alone. It's defined by presence, by intention, by how fully you show up in your own skin. You're not broken. You're not past the point of no return. You're still here, and as long as you're still here, there's power left in you, more than you may even realize. Let this be your turning point, not someday, today. Because reclaiming your strength doesn't begin with a prescription or a procedure. It begins with a choice. And that choice is yours, right now. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.